listen this time. Nobody listens to this show unless it's me. And even I don't listen anymore. Just wait for Brian to make the clips. Brian has to listen to it. And then I have to go back and take the clips that he sent me and try to post them.
Absolutely. There we go.
Like the whole audio. Oh, never mind. It is 9:30 on a Thursday night, and you're tuned in to Beltway Radio and Beyond, which can mean one and only thing. This is Chip Chat. Welcome to Chip Chat, everybody. I'm Chip. Who are you, Tez? You just told him, buddy. Hey, yeah, Tez isn't here. We sent him on assignment. He's busy. We sent him to research the thing with the guy that we were looking up about the stuff. So Brian's here. Hey, Brian.
Hello.
It's an all white show tonight.
Literally.
That's very funny. Yeah. All right. So welcome to a special edition of Chip Chat. And this is special because we are still raising money to try to attend MicroCon. And I am this close to learning how to set up a GoFundMe. I still haven't bothered.
Is that in centimeters or
yeah, it's metric. No, this is America. God damn it. The fuck is a kilogram? We don't do that stuff here. It's not France.
In my kilos.
No, we don't measure things in metric. This is I don't know how GoFundMe works. I haven't actually just done. That's all I got to do is go do it, I guess. But yeah, so we are still trying to do that, and what that means is that when we do make that thing go live, we are going to ask everybody to smash the donate button or however that works, and try to get everybody to help us go visit the Sultan and everybody else there in Slojamistan. So. Yeah, stay tuned for that. Again, also, we are soliciting, what do we call them? Cabinet members? Really? Well, we need a solicitor general. If you want to be a part of the government of Chipchatistan, we want you to be a part of the government of Chipchatistan. We will take it as seriously as we take everything else. So
they have good benefits.
Yeah, right. We don't have. We make what we lack in international status. We make up for in international ridicule. Yeah. So it'll be fine. It's fine. Whatever. Okay. Speaking of international ridicule, this week Trump goes to China. He's there now, I think. And inflation is up. Babies are down. And voting is all around, except for black folks. Not anymore. Just not allowed to vote anymore. In some states you're still allowed to vote. Some states you're allowed to vote and not have it count, which is cool, I guess. Yeah. Say it again.
In some form or fashion.
Well, they let you go through the exercise of voting for somebody that can't win. So you get to feel like you tried and lost. Yeah. We'll also have some international news. We've got a new segment called Farmer Gets a Whoopin'. It's like Farmer Gets a Wife, except he gets a whoopin'. And of course, there will be the headlines. So that's what you have to look for. And there's some few other things scattered in there. I don't know. I don't even know who writes this stuff. I just show up and read it.
Are you sure it's not the Chip Chat PT?
Chip Chat PT.
Yeah.
Well, that's funny, right? Because it's Chat GPT. We're Chip Chat GPT.
Right.
We should get our own brand of AI. You know, I don't want to have anything to do with the robot, but one of the things that might be funny is to ask it to write a set of jokes in the style of the extremely popular radio show Chip Chat. So I'm gonna try that and see what it does. We already read its description of this show online in a couple times.
Yes,
it was extremely accurate. So yeah, I think during the break I'll ask it to write me a series of jokes in the style of, and we'll see how that goes. Mm-hmm. Brian, do you have a word to do our thing with? It's hard to come up with words.
I do have a word.
Okay. Let me see. Yeah, I thought, okay, I've got a word. It's relevant. It's been going on. So, right. Yep. All right. So sit back, grab some
soybeans.
It's traffic time. You're listening to the best show, the only show, Chip Chat on Beltway Radio and beyond.
Sweeps and street parties.
All right, welcome back to Chip Chat here on Beltway Radio and beyond. I'm your host, Chip. With me tonight is Brian. Say hi to the people, Brian.
Hi to the people.
There you go. So now it's time for the headlines. Now, here's the thing about the headlines. Normally, this is where we tell you about the news in headline form, and Tez has never read any of these things because that would imply paying attention to the show before the moment it starts. Right. And since he's not here, we also embargoed Brian from reading any of these things. So he is also going to read them blind for the first time. Yep.
Blind like Daredevil.
Yes, exactly. Do not let him pilot an aircraft. But we are about to let other people about as capable pilot various other things. So, yeah. Do you want to just do it?
Let's do it.
All right, let's do it. Go ahead, Brian.
All right. During a meeting about, let's say, using powdered grasshoppers to cure vertigo, Dr. Oz explained that women of the United States were underbabied, setting a record for the weirdest way to say the dumbest things.
That's true. Immediately afterwards, RFK Jr. smashed that record like he smashes roadkill burgers by explaining that there was a big problem with teen sperm counts.
God. Okay, following that comment, the FBI immediately grabbed his devices and began redacting all of his search history.
That's right. Because that's not a thing that a grown-ass man should be talking about.
Nope.
And Trump didn't react to any of this, despite being in the room, because like Melania at a family function, Trump had fallen asleep at 11:30 a.m.
Hey, senior nap time.
All of that's true. Yes. We didn't make up any of that.
Mm.
This is not our writers. This was just thing that happened.
Things that happen. Yes, things happen. And another place that happened in Tennessee held a vote to eliminate black voting. And State Rep Justin Jones burned a Confederate flag in protest. The fire was extinguished, and Jones was punished because to legally use fire in a protest in Tennessee, it has to be a cross and a black person's lawn.
That's correct. Yes. At a news conference, Trump called a reporter a dumb person because, like many smart person, he had forgot the word dummy.
But also this week, dumb Trump had his motorcade drive out onto the surface of the reflecting pool he is having painted. Damaging the bottom and causing new cracks after they had to just have it. Excuse me. After they had been filled, the new cracks will be filled with whatever they had been painting Trump's hands with recently.
That's true. I don't know if you've seen that, but it's caked on there pretty good.
Oh, very small painting.
Well, they don't have to use very much of it.
Nah.
On Tuesday night, the nurses who usually keep Trump away from his phone took a break, and he posted 55 times in the space of 3 hours, all the way until about 1:30 a.m. the next day. Experts are calling that batshit crazy. That's a technical term.
Trump's drinking buddy, Kash Patel, testified in a Senate hearing Tuesday, and a heated exchange accusing the Democrat senators of watering down his drink.
Yeah, he's sitting at the table. He's like, "What is this? There's hardly any alcohol in there." And they're like, "Director Patel, this is just the water that we provide, for the people in the hearings." And he's like, "There's not enough alcohol in this water." Yeah, he accused Maryland Senator Chris Van Hollen of drinking margaritas with terrorists in El Salvador.
Oh, yeah.
It's fantastic. I highly recommend you go watch that YouTube. All right. Mother's Day was last weekend, with many Americans celebrating their moms by disappointing them with thoughtless cards and even more useless gifts, when most moms just wanted a nap.
This one is going to Real Talk Uncensored. With Spirit Airlines gone, comedians around the country have been struggling to find a new punching bag for their jokes. But don't worry, there's always Rand Paul.
He's everybody's favorite punching bag. Graduation ceremonies are kicking off all over the place, with many students suddenly finding out that a degree in science, public health, education, or math can now land them in a Trump regime concentration camp.
And I just left one today, so it'll be
one of the concentration camps.
No, a graduation.
Yeah, you're the reason it took me 2 hours to get across the mall, because they were doing GW's graduation down there.
Oh yeah.
Ugh, idiots.
Well, speaking of more graduations, graduates it's a proud moment for many people in the lives of these students. You can see them all walking around and a little prouder. The parents, the teachers, and the student loan officers.
That's right. Pay up. And finally, in sports, our beloved Washington Wizards, or Bullets, or whatever the hell they're going by these days, have the first pick in the NBA draft. And let's hope they just don't Kwame Brown this one. You remember that?
Who you can't forget that. The man still hasn't found Italian dressing.
That's so funny. Okay, we also did pick John Wall once, but he didn't pan out that great either. But yeah, the Kwame Brown.
So honestly, I feel like right now with the pick, everyone's, again, the media would like the Wizards to get, or pretty much is pushing to get, the guy from BYU.
Yeah.
And seeing his facial expressions of how he's like, okay, I'd rather stay at home. Yeah, because Utah has the second pick. So
nobody wants to come here. I think, yeah. Well, maybe we'll pick Cam Boozer.
Probably.
Why not?
Why not?
We'll blow that too. It's ridiculous. It's so bad. Like, I don't know. I don't want to venture a guess on like who I want to pick for the first round, because I couldn't tell you who's currently on the team and whether it would make sense to build around a draft pick or what position to even focus on. There's no future.
Well, here's the thing, in for modern day basketball, it's either a forward or a guard.
Yeah, I understand that.
If we're down, technically, I think on a team, a roster is like 12 guys, 12 to 13 guys.
Yeah.
So if we have only 4 guards, we need at least, maybe another in the draft. But
I know that there are now only 2 positions in basketball, but also like we need a 3-point shooter. Okay.
Yes.
That doesn't narrow that down.
No, because pretty much all of them can try to shoot 3-pointers.
Try to.
Yeah, try to. Yes, if a guy who's 6'10", bulk enough, who should be in the paint, but he's actually by the 3-point line, he's shooting threes and hitting bricks. Yeah, he's your guy to draft.
Yeah, well, there's two Michigan guys in the draft that I think are great, but they're obviously not pro ready necessarily, which would be Morris Johnson and Yaks, of course. But like Mara is possibly available. I don't pick a Michigan guy. Don't do that to me. Don't do the thing that Weber and Howard were to me, where I'm like, oh, I have this chance to root for my guy. No, don't do that to me. They're gonna fail. They're gonna come here and fail, and then they're gonna go.
No, they'll come here and fail. Then they get traded out, or
then they'll be fine.
Contract expire, and they'll thrive somewhere else in any other NBA team.
That is the natural order of things in this universe.
Yes,
you cannot.
That's the magical power of the Wizards. They can help a player do well elsewhere.
Yes, it's the Brad Johnson effect.
Yes.
That's right. This is mixing sports. Okay, great. Those are the headlines and us whining about our shitty basketball team. What do you think of the headlines, Brian? Pretty good?
I think it was fair. Yeah, pretty fair.
Yeah. It was fair. Way to help. All right, you want to take a break?
Sure, I want to take a break.
All right, we're going to take a break. We'll be right back. You're listening to Chip Chat on Beltway Radio and beyond.
Go Wizards.
We're in the middle of a hostile government takeover. I want to talk about it, but I'll be late for work. And if you're saying, wait a minute, do we have to stop this? We had one, but you didn't want that lady in office. Hostile government takeover. Hostile government. Now that we're a part of a Nigerian prince scam, surprise, surprise, it ended up being a white man. Oh, I just want to know, what the hell do I do? Probably drink. And if you say, wait a minute, do we have to stop this? We had one, but you didn't want that lady in office. Hostile government take over. Hostile government late forward. Hostile government take over. Hostile government late forward. Hostile government take over. This ain't about left and right. You better stop messing around. This ain't about left and right. Need to worry about up and down. This ain't about left and right. You better stop messing around. This ain't about left and right. Need to worry about up and down. And if you say, wait a minute, do we have to stop this? We had one, but you didn't want that lady in office. Hostile government take over. Hostile government take over. Hostile government late forward. Hostile government take over. Hostile government late forward.
All right, welcome back to Chip Chat here on Beltway Radio and beyond. I'm your host, Chip. With me tonight, filling in for Tez, is Brian.
Hello.
Hey,
How do you
Yes.
everyone?
guess what?
What?
We have an update to one of our stories that we're about to talk about.
Oh.
Yeah. So now we've come to the part of the show where we're going to do Iran war updates, because that's a thing that we still have to do every week because the war is still happening, despite Trump trying to say that there isn't a war, or that it's a mini war or an excursion or a skirmish, whatever he's on to these days. There's this War Powers Act, right? So Vietnam, that was a bad war. Seemed to meander forever. Didn't really have any conclusion. There was no how do we define victory or defeat, and it wasn't really like, it was an unpopular war. It had been authorized by Congress. The use of force had been authorized, but there was just, we were losing, right? And so Congress was like, we got to get out of this, and they cut funding to the war, and that ended it. And then immediately afterwards, they passed this law called the War Powers Resolution, which requires the president to come to Congress within 60 days of initiating any kind of military conduct, whether it's defensive, offensive, justified, or otherwise. Within 60 days, they got to go get an authorization for use of force. There isn't any teeth to that. There's no follow-up, right? It's not like this has to happen or else. And kind of requires Congress to do something to make it be enforced. And if they do pass anything, Trump could, of course, veto it. But here's the story, okay? Earlier this week, the Senate rejected another attempt by Democrats to limit President Trump's ability to use military force against Iran. That was yesterday, on Wednesday. One Republican senator voted in favor of advancing the measure. Do you want to guess who it was?
Is it
a new Republican senator? I'm sorry.
New Republican senator.
Yeah.
Is it Rand Paul?
Well, Rand loves voting on this issue. So yes, this is one of the few times that we are going to say we agree with Rand Paul. Rand Paul is really into this idea that Congress, that the Constitution exists. And so he doesn't like the president doing things that belong to Congress. But Susan Collins and Lisa Murkowski joined him as well to vote for this. But, of course, Fetterman, who seems to be a turncoat. I don't know what his deal is. Oh, Lord. What an image, Brian. Thanks. This guy, whatever his deal is, that he comes to work in the Senate in a hoodie and voted for the war. So he's like, yeah, we're going to keep that up. Well, here's the update, right? Today, the House failed to advance a resolution that required the Trump administration to end the war in Iran, the first time it has considered such a measure since the lapsing of a legal deadline for the lawmakers to authorize the conflict, meaning since the 60-day cutoff. The measure failed after a dramatic tie vote of 212 to 212, with 3 Republicans joining nearly all Democrats. The Senate on Wednesday rejected a similar initiative, which is what we just talked about. Representative Jared Golden of Maine, the lone Democrat to vote no, indicated in a statement that he would support a forthcoming clean bid to halt the war. So when they vote on it again, he's going to switch. I guess he wanted to vote no once, and then he's going to vote yes to end the war. The measure that failed Thursday was proposed early in the war by a faction of pro-Israel Democrats, Golden among them, as a compromise intended to win some Republican backing. It would have given the Trump administration 30 more days to seek lawmakers' explicit authorization to prolong the conflict. And, sure, give them. So in explaining his vote, Golden argued that those terms are no longer relevant because hostilities have already gone on longer than the War Powers Act permits. So we are now in this place where it looks like there is some momentum building in Congress. It'll be a slim vote if it happens to vote against this conflict. What that means, hard to call, because they can't force Trump to do anything. They can vote all they want and say, we don't authorize this war. And Trump's going to be like, well, fuck you. I don't care. He's just going to be like, I'm ordering the troops to do stuff. And they can't disobey that. They can cut off the funding, but he can veto that. And if we heard this week, Hegseth came back to Congress and said, actually, the cost of the war has gone up by $5 billion. I mean,
randomly?
Huh?
Did he like randomly stated this? Like, it's like, let's increase it 5 million.
So he had testified that the cost of the war was $25 billion so far. And then a week later, the Pentagon, under some other hearings, the chairman of the Joint Chiefs was like, actually, it's 30 billion. We missed by 5 billion. I mean, take it or leave it. What's $5 billion amongst friends, right?
Of course.
$5 billion would be 20%. Imagine if every bid you made, every guess you made was off by 20%. That's a lot. That's a big miss.
That's a huge miss.
That's a huge miss. We're like, oh yeah, that guy's batting average is 500. Wait, what? Oh no, I'm sorry. It's 300. Oh, okay. So he's a good hitter. He's just not the best hitter of all time. Got it. Like, that's a big difference. You can't miss by that much. So that's the deal. But again, if Congress votes against the war, if Congress votes to cut off the funding, Trump has been doing this like irrespective of Congress's wishes and irrespective of Congress's authorization anyway. I don't think that there's any chance that actually changes the behavior of this administration, but we shall see, because it would demonstrate a fraying amongst the MAGA caucus, right? So stay tuned to next week. And now you have a reason to listen next week.
Yes.
But we're off next week. Now you have a reason to listen in 2 weeks.
There you go.
2 weeks. So look at that teaser, foreshadowing. All right. Now, Brian, some things about medical stuff, right?
A little.
Okay. What would you describe if somebody says something is on life support or a person is on life support? What does that mean?
Pretty much they're on the brink of death. So
brink.
Yeah. On the cusp.
On the cusp. Yeah. On the bubble.
Yes, on the bubble.
Yeah. So how would you feel about a ceasefire being described as on life support?
That's bad.
That's bad. Yeah. The U.S. ceasefire with Iran is, quote, unbelievably weak and on massive life support, said Trump. What massive life support means, I don't know. I don't know that life support is quantifiable as massive. This guy's so weird. I don't understand why he talks like this. What is massive life support?
I mean, for him to say there is a ceasefire, even though he's still fighting.
Yeah.
Again,
it's
makes
a
no
ceasefire
sense.
in name only.
All right. So again, I do not understand any of this to where we need to be over there. Our troops needing to be over there. Everything was fine. It was all good. And then he muddles this up. And again, if this is how his quote unquote art of the deal to make things better for us, does it needs a rewrite. So
well, we're watching him fail at art of the deal in real time, because if you think about it, right, let's hit the timeline on this very briefly. When Obama left office, there was an agreement in place with Iran. It's called the JCPOA. That's the Joint Cooperative whatever agreement, whatever spells out JCPOA. Okay, that's the Iran nuclear deal, as Americans call it. And it had all of these rules about how Iran had to limit their nuclear activity and stuff, and it had all these provisions to automatically punish them if they somehow violated the terms of that deal. And it was working.
Yeah.
And there was nobody outside of Fox News that was like, hey, this Iran deal is bullshit. Everybody was like, oh, this is good. This is working. And then Trump gets elected and he's like, this thing sucks. And he tears it up. And he does significant damage by doing that. Number one, he obliterated the actual deal that had Iran not developing a nuclear weapon. Right. So they were like, well, fuck it. These guys don't hold up their end of the deal. We're just going to go as fast as we can to get a bomb and dare them to stop us. That's one thing that happened. The other thing that happened is the entire rest of the world just went, oh, Americans' deals mean nothing. It doesn't matter who's president. It doesn't matter what promise. If an American shakes your hand and says this is good, we agree. Don't trust it. It's all fake.
Right.
So he damaged our ability to manage that going forward. And then when he came back into office, he further destabilized the situation by, oh yeah, I'm sorry. And then he killed one of their leaders.
Right. That's
Qasem Soleimani. He killed one of their leaders and then looked around and is like, where's my medal? And everybody's like, hey, you idiot. You don't get a medal for that. That's a war crime. And also that doesn't help the situation. Now they were already like distrustful. Now they're just pissed off and distrustful. They're going to race to a bomb even faster if they can.
Mm-hmm.
So then he's out. Then he comes back. And immediately within a year of taking office, he's like, fuck it. We're going to bomb Iran. Mm-hmm. And they bombed Iran to, quote, obliterate their nuclear stuff.
And we don't know if they have.
Yeah, well, we're like, all right, at least that's over.
Mm-hmm.
But it wasn't over. Then he's like, I'm not even going to tell our allies, but the Israelis are going to bomb Iran. I want to go bomb Iran. We're going to all do this together. Bam. And all the Gulf Arabs were like, oh, fuck. And then they look up and they've got incoming. And then they all are like, shit. They're shooting back at the incoming. And now he's managed to destabilize that even further, because now those allies are sitting over there going, oh, American security guarantees are worthless.
Right.
And allies around the world, Taiwan, are going, oh, American security guarantees are worthless. And that's bad. Mm-hmm. That's a bad deal. So then Trump's in this weird thing where, like, you can't blockade us, we blockade you. And that's where we're stuck. But they're still exchanging fire. Make no mistake, these blockades aren't peaceful flag-waving operations here. Our ships are out there interdicting, boarding, and attacking their stuff, including a few instances where our aircraft shot the rudders out of some of their ships. Mm-hmm. And then our guys boarded it and like took all their shit. Mm-hmm. The Iranians are shooting at our ships. And if there's anything anybody knows is that don't touch the boats, right? America is real touchy about, like, they fucked with our boats, man. It's like, we'll do a lot of stuff, right? We'll tolerate a lot of stuff, but you fuck with our boats. That is it. It. Ask Japan. So now that's going to get worse. And so there's supposedly this ceasefire in place, but who knows what's going on with that. So Trump sends another like ceasefire plan or suggestion of a plan, concepts of a plan, whatever he's got. Yeah, tweet. Olive branch. That's dangerously close to a vegetable. You know he doesn't know what that is. He tweets like, hey guys, want to do a ceasefire? And like whoever's in charge in Iran, which nobody actually knows, sends them back this list of things of like, okay, cool. Here's our list of demands. And the list of demands is like, we're going to keep enriching uranium. You need to stop your blockade. We want double the money for the oil or whatever. And you need to get Israel to stop bombing Lebanon. And it's like this list of stuff that's just absolutely not going to happen. So Trump calls it, let's see, what did he call it? A piece of garbage. Says totally unacceptable, stupid, and a piece of garbage. He didn't go into any detail about what it was or why it was garbage. He said, quote, I would call the ceasefire the weakest right now after reading that piece of garbage they sent us, Trump told reporters at Chopper Talk. He was yelling outside his helicopter. I didn't even finish reading it. Now let's stop right there. We know. It was one whole page. And that is more reading than Trump has done in a week. The ceasefire is on massive life support, where the doctor walks in and says, "Sir, your loved one has approximately 1% chance of living." That is the weirdest way.
I swear to God, I really think he's like, he thinks he's on Greg's Anatomy for some weird reason.
He lives in a world of television, so that's entirely possible. He thinks this is an episode of ER or what?
Yeah, I mean, it's an easy bad script for him to read.
Yeah,
and I just feel like, again, this is a guy who is not taking this job seriously. He has never taken this job seriously, and
No.
I think, and again, where we've had this discussions before, where I feel like his end game has always been what will benefit him, and in the end, and like this scenario has never benefited him. He's forcefully trying to make this benefit him, and it can't, because the Iranians are not down with this. It's because,
well, it's also
them,
a self-inflicted wound, right? Because he's damaged the economy and he's pissed everybody off with the gas prices, and it's clear that he doesn't have a plan to get through this at all.
He never had a plan,
which he addressed.
Right.
I'll go on. He went on to say, quote, "They think I'll get tired of this or I'll get bored." That's true. Frankly, this is the weirdest possible way to say this. Frankly, their leaders have been killed at the first level, second level, and half of the third level. Then they come back and want to negotiate, and they give us a stupid proposal. Nobody would take it. I don't know what half of the third level is. And frankly, their leaders have been killed at the first level. That is not a way that humans talk. So the Iranians were like, "What are you talking about? This is a reasonable, plan, right?" And so then everybody's like, "Hey, man, do you care that these gas prices are affecting people's lives?" And he goes, "No, I don't care about Americans' financial situations at all." And what he meant to say, what he's trying to say is like, I'm focused on what makes the best deal for strategic purposes, and I'm not letting the polls or the gas prices make my decisions for me. But that's not what he said. What he said was, I don't care about Americans' financial situations. And then he goes on. A lot of people said, "Well, does he have a plan?" "Yes, the best plan ever," Trump said on Monday. "It's a very simple plan. Iran cannot have a nuclear weapon, and they won't." Okay. Great plan, buddy. We had that. We already had that. You undid that. I don't know how that's a plan. It's very possible I had to deal with them 4 or 5 times, Trump said. They changed their mind. They're very dishonorable people, the leadership. Buddy. I mean, I'm not saying I trust the Iranians. Let's not say that like, oh, well, they're clearly the good guys here and Trump's the idiot. They're both bad guys.
Right.
The Iranians are untrustworthy. They're lying about everything. But what they're not lying about, and what we know, is they have actually been more effective at damaging our stuff and the stuff in the Gulf states than we have let on. Right. Also, our amount of damage on their shit is substantially less than we have been led to believe by this administration, because the satellite imagery doesn't lie. And so Trump's like, "Oh, we blew out all this stuff. We destroyed all these things." And then like 2 days later, here's a satellite photo of actually no. You can see, oh, you hit like one little corner of this whole factory or whatever, but everything else seems to be fine. So I'm not saying the Iranians are honest, but in this case, they kind of have the benefit of truth on their side. And all they got to do is show the reality of it. And so far, that reality that they have showed has been corroborated by legitimate sources. Mm-hmm. And it kind of makes Trump look like he's fucking lying about this too. So,
I mean, I knew he was, I mean, there's always has to be two sides to in this case a war story,
Right.
and we've in a very weird way this has that same mirror image of how Vietnam is. We went in there with, again, coming out of a Korean War and going to another one. And again, this is all for the face of, again, at the time it was about communism and things of that nature.
Right.
Really not having a plan. And Nixon never had a plan for that. It was like, oh, we got to end this communism. It's happening in Vietnam. It's like, okay, why we're going?
Well, Johnson had no plan, and he kept escalating things, and then Nixon took over, and he's like, I'm just going to escalate it more,
make it instead of ending it. And even though a lot of his advisors were telling me, hey, we need to end this.
We need to get out of there.
Yeah. So here's the thing that's different here is we have yet to hear any advisors, stating the fact they need to get out of this. Because mind you, one, some of these advisors are getting in trouble on their own on other shit. So, and secondly, it's like we all know full well, like the Republican Congress and Senate, they feel like want to bow down to this fool to keep fighting for something that full well has hurt us, like you said, economically, and it just does not benefit us at all. No, if you cannot talk to any MAGA voter,
even they are pissed off about this war.
Pissed because it's like this doesn't help us. They'll say
and the question really gets down to Congress about, are they more afraid of Trump or are they more afraid of losing in November because of Trump? And I don't know how they square that, because he's threatened to basically primary anybody who challenges him.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, well, you could try that, but like, if the challenge is based on, I think the war needs to end so gas prices will go back down, which there's no guarantee that would happen, but they're certainly not going to go down with the straits still closed. If that's what you're running on, and Trump sends somebody to primary you, and that guy's main message is, I want to keep gas prices high by continuing the war, I don't think he wins. Like, that's not a great position politically to take. What I'm waiting for is the leak from the Pentagon or State Department or somebody, where it turns out that there have been serious conversations about, or there were maybe serious conversations prior to the actions that said this is a bad idea, and that they ignored it. And, sort of like the Pentagon Papers, like there's got to be some sort of smoking gun here, and we just haven't seen it yet. I guarantee you it does eventually pop up, but how it pops up, I don't know. I mean, here's one place where a good example of it, right? A confidential U.S. intelligence analysis details how China is exploiting the war in Iran to maximize its advantage over the United States across military, economic, diplomatic, and other fields, said two U.S. officials who have read that report. Now, that doesn't take brilliant analysis by people in the CIA or whatever who have more information than we do. We're sitting here looking at this going, okay, China's obviously seeing that the U.S. doesn't really have the ability to protect its allies or its bases overseas. So Taiwan looks like a pretty easy choice. Japan and South Korea can shut the fuck up because the Americans aren't going to help them or can't help them. So that's all. The Philippines, you can forget it. This argument over these islands in the South China Sea, they're just going to take them. And the Philippines are like, hey, that's ours, and we have a security guarantee with the Americans, and so you better watch out. And the Chinese are going to be like, you see how the Americans can't do shit for the UAE or Bahrain or Qatar? Fuck that shit. We're going to take your islands. Get the fuck out of here. That's what's going to happen. And that didn't take, I'm not CIA. I don't need like brilliant insider information to figure that out. I knew that. Okay. That's one thing. Economically, the Chinese are looking at us going, hey, these guys are like, making their own gas prices go up. We drive fucking EVs over here. These guys are stupid. Chinese buy all their oil from the Gulf. We get our own oil from at home, but because it's a global market, we're paying those high prices for the oil that we're pumping right here, which is ridiculous. And the Chinese are like, what stupid thing are the Americans doing instead of just nationalizing, taking their own oil? That's stupid, right? So they notice that, again, not CIA. Don't take, I didn't go to some advanced program to understand that. All right, that's economic. Diplomatic, our traditional allies, the English, the Europeans, they're not the Japanese. They're all like, nah, man, we don't want to have anything to do with this. Matter of fact, you can't even use our bases. Don't even overfly our territory. We don't want anything to do with this. This doesn't make sense to us. We didn't want this. We still just need to keep the oil flowing, man, and calm the fuck down. This isn't like rocket surgery here. The Chinese understand this. I understand this. And now we've got reports. The assessment, the official said, was produced this week for Chairman Dan Kane, of the Joint. He's the chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff, and has raised alarm within the Pentagon about the geopolitical costs of the standoff with Iran as Trump enters high-stakes talk in China right now. So he went over there to talk to President Xi about God knows what. And everybody in Taiwan is like, oh, this fucking guy is going to sell us out for the hopes that the Chinese buy a few soybeans or something. Mm-hmm. And this is bad, dude. This is terrible. Officials talked about the finding, but it's not previously been reported. And it was, snuck out, right? It leaked. Since the U.S. and Israel initiated the war on February 28th, China has sold weapons to Persian Gulf allies of the U.S. as they struggled to defend their military bases and oil infrastructure from Iranian missiles and drone attacks. So not only are they watching us fail to protect our allies, but they're selling them stuff going, hey, those Americans, they left you hanging. You want to buy some of our stuff? It works. And we're not going to leave you. We're not running out. That would be a catastrophe if the Chinese swoop in and eat our lunch over something like this.
Again, this is the art of the deal, I guess. So.
That's exactly what I'm saying. Like, this is what we're talking about. This is a known and obvious potential outcome of doing what you're doing. And according to this report, it was already thought about. But Trump doesn't read. And he doesn't listen. And nobody can tell him anything. So, any idiot would have come up with this report and been like, yeah, this seems like an obvious risk. Don't do that shit. Mm-hmm. And if they went to him and be like, sir, we've got this I'm sorry. The CIA came up to him, big CIA, tall CIA, best looking CIA in the world, came up to him, tears pouring down their stupid CIA faces, crying. And they said, sir, we really think that you should not attack Iran, sir. And I said, we're going to do it. We're going to blow it. It's going to be the biggest, most spectacular, bigly tremendous attack on Iran you've ever seen. And like, I don't know. Help me out here. What am I trying to say? How fucking dumb can this guy be?
Again, it's again, he if there was, besides voting a person into this seat, there has to be another proper evaluation to where the people can say, hey, is this guy really fit to be in this seat? Is he really fit to be in his office? And I knew that 10 years ago he wasn't. As much as and during the one key debate where everyone felt like he won over Hillary, based off of a statement about exposing tax cuts and things of that nature. I felt like it's like, okay, if that was your one shining moment, but the thing is like you want to emphasize the fact is like who you want to answer the phone at 3 a.m. and it's like, dude, you're sleeping at 11 a.m. in the morning. What the fuck is you wake up
3 in the morning fucking tweeting about conspiracy theories about Obama?
Yes. and things of that nature. It is everything since 2016. There has been no plan, no structure, and no end game to have the American people understand how this will all benefit us.
Well, it's going just a straight up robbery, and that's what he's doing.
Yes, that is it. It's a Bugs Bunny robbery. That's what it is.
Yeah,
because you have these two guys. In case one guy who thinks he's got it all and all that stuff, but pretty much, Iran is Bugs Bunny right now. They are running circles around this dude, and they're going to keep doing it until it feels it. Even though Trump says he's like, oh, well, I ain't going to stop. It's like, no, you will eventually stop, because at some point in time, Congress will have Democratic Congress and a Democratic Senate will have enough balls to say, hey, we're stopping this. We're stopping you, and we're taking this. We're going back home, and we're going to try to figure this out.
Easy election to win by showing pictures of 5-year-olds being thrown in prison by ICE. And that was the thing that scared the bejesus out of you, that you had to fire Kristi Noem and try to moderate that. Imagine how much easier it is to win an election when the war that you're prosecuting has a 10% approval rating. And everybody out there can run in the deepest red districts there are and say, I am running to end the war in Iran. Full stop. That's it. And if the Republicans don't also run on that same line, they're going to get absolutely demolished. And there's still, even if that works, and even if the war stops tomorrow, there's no reason to think that the gas prices will go down, that fertilizer will suddenly make it to the farmers. There's no reason to think that Iran isn't going to still work really hard and fast to get a bomb. There's no reason to think that the world order will go back to the way it was. The economy of the world is already working on and has nearly completed its effort to shift themselves around the United States in the most fundamental way they can imagine. We can't put it back. That's the thing. Trust takes forever to earn.
I say this. I think we can put it back, but not with him.
No, certainly not with him. But not only not with him, the problem is that his voters still exist. So, if the Democrats sweep everything and just absolutely become veto-proof majorities in the House and Senate, which is not going to happen, but if that did, right, and they ram through an end of the war, cool. And then they ram through anything else. The rest of the world looks at that and goes, yeah. But the Americans already went through this exercise. They had the nutball. They realized their mistake. They put somebody back in and they did everything they could to fix it. And then they let the nutball back in charge. Mm-hmm. Who's to say they're not going to do that again? And everybody's just going to not trust us.
But again, who else is out there to replace Trump?
Look at, DJ TJ, JD Vance.
No, they don't trust. Nobody trusts anyone after Trump.
No, I know that there isn't a succession plan exactly, but the fundamental Trumpist mentality, the idea that America is, fundamentally bad, for it's I don't know what to call it, the reverse racism nonsense, all of that stuff. That's all underlying everything. The anger, the white anger is still there. The working class white disenfranchisement or removal from their perch above everybody else is still there. The boiling, roiling furor that led to Trump is all still there. And the rest of the world knows that. Sure. It doesn't matter who the guy at the top is. The Americans can no longer be trusted to maintain a stable world order. And that's the fundamental problem that Trump exposed. And now we can't put it back. That's the trust thing. We didn't get to this place easily, right? First, we win the war. Then we set up Europe again, rebuild Europe. We forgive Japan for sneak attacking us at Pearl Harbor and then recreate their entire economy. We create a World Trade Organization, the UN, the UNICEF. We create all of these things, international criminal courts and all of that stuff. We export American rule of law and American due process concepts to the world and create the American century after the war. And it leads to incredible prosperity, incredible growth, incredible stability, and the most peaceful time in human history. And I know people will say, well, there were a lot of wars after that. Yeah, but not in the percentage scales. Like the amount of people who get killed in conflict post World War II is the fewest number percentage-wise in the entire history of human beings. All of that Pax Americana exists because of the things that the American people did through their elected leaders. And there wasn't any question whether you voted for a Democrat or Republican, whether they were going to like end the UN or like pull out of NATO or, you know, it wasn't like Nixon was running against the concept of NATO.
Right.
Yeah. So like, and when Reagan beats Carter, nobody goes, oh shit, well, Reagan's in charge now. There goes the World Trade Organization. No. They go, all right, well, yeah, this is going to change some policy and stuff, but like fundamentally, America's going to back the non-communist countries. And the, you know, Carter was a soft, squishy guy, but he was still plenty willing to play ball with right-wing dictators in other countries, so long as they weren't communists. You know, like that all. It was like a standard. There was a bottom, right? And then Trump comes, he smashed that thing. He was like, I found a sub basement. I can get worse. Bam. I don't want to say Trump smashed that bottom because that would imply that it was 13 or 14, but he just like right underneath it. That's not any better. Sorry. It's underbabied. Yes. So yeah. There you go. That's the Iran war updates. I don't think I like that. I don't like this segment. Take it away.
We're trying to.
Yeah, make it go away. Israel's still bombing Lebanon, by the way. That's not even like in the script here, but that's part of that same war, that there's a quote unquote ceasefire going on in Lebanon now, and it's like been 300 people killed since then, including a bunch of kids.
Damn.
The Israelis are like, yeah, well, we're going after Hezbollah. And Hezbollah's like, fuck, man, we're down to like throwing paper airplanes and shit. The Israeli defense system now against the Hezbollah drone attacks, do you want to know what it is?
What?
Nets. They've just thrown up tall nets. Think of like the nets along the side of the foul line in baseball. That's what they've done. They've put up big nets along the border to catch the little like remote control airplane drones that Hezbollah is down to. And smart, but... oh yeah, it's smart. But then they're also responding with like F-16s. Like, hey, we caught you shooting bottle rockets at us, so we're gonna blow up your fucking village. Like what? Wham! Cousins, cool it. All right. Can you not for a little while? Making it hard for me. Just trying to be like regular Jewish kid and get a pastrami on rye. I don't need all this headache. You can try not to kill anybody or fucking set up death panels for Palestinians. They did that this week too. That's great. It's not good. The cousins are out of control. We're gonna get to that later, but they gotta chill. We all got them cousins. These are them cousins. They gotta chill. Chill. All right. Speaking of chill, you want to take a break?
Okay, but I don't think this will be a nice chilling music.
Oh no! What are you gonna do to me?
You'll find out.
Oh, I'm sure I will. All right, we're gonna take a break. We'll be right back. You're listening to Chip Chat on Beltway Radio and beyond.
Just chill, people.
I have no doubt in my mind that the map's gonna pass. If y'all can give us less than 0 seats, you would do it. Y'all do this under the orders of somebody that said the Civil Rights Act was harmful to white people, that it caused reverse racism. RFK said that black children are overfilled on antidepressants and that they need to be reparented on different forms, all of them. Pete Hegseth constantly brings Doug Wilson to the Pentagon to give a prayer service. Doug Wilson is the same pastor that said that slave owners were on strong spiritual ground. I don't have no belief in no morality on anybody that followed Donald Trump. If you wasn't with this map, you wouldn't be underneath this president. You wouldn't be in your party. You would stand up, you would stand against it, you would speak out about it. So as far as I'm concerned, if you here as one of these Trump Republicans, you already showed us who you are. You showed us what you want to do. And I believe the country as a whole is rebuking your party. Y'all are in a death spiral. That's why y'all have to redistrict. That's why y'all have to cheat. That's why Trump got to go to Texas and say he entitled to 5 more seats. It's because y'all know what y'all doing is abhorrent. We letting our people die in Iran based on false pretense that Tulsi Gabbard and Joe Kent say it ain't real. Y'all okay with all that. So I'm positive y'all gonna be okay with the maps. But the beautiful thing is, the children that y'all have made and the people that's younger than y'all don't support none of this racism that y'all want. The MAGA party is the last breath of the Confederacy. And I'll be happy to see millennials and Gen Z bury y'all. There will be no more of your party. The midterms gonna come, y'all gonna get wiped out. Trump gonna get dragged out of the White House, and I'm gonna love every second of it. Because y'all loved every second of the suffering that he caused to everybody in this country. And worldwide, we starve in Cuba. We bomb Nigeria. We holding Zimbabwe and Zambia hostage for their minerals. We don't want to give them aid support. The pro-lifers that say all life is special, y'all letting kids die of AIDS. What part of your Bible say that? Point out the scripture. I think everybody would love to see it. And we would love to see y'all in the midterms.
Put that guy on the radio. Welcome back to Chip Chat. I'm Chip. Brian's here.
Hello.
That's our new co-host. Everything he said is right.
Yeah. He was one of 2 guys. I don't know if it was the same session that they had this public hearing or whatever. But he was the first one I saw. There was another guy who kind of expanded on that as well. So, but yeah. So, and it was kind of relevant to what we'll be discussing and talk about later. So we'll get it, but let's get into that.
We're about to talk about it now. So yeah, what that gentleman so eloquently expressed is the South is rising again. We're seeing it live on television, on the Twitter, wherever you look. Here it is. Case in point, number 1, these Bamas over here. Speaking of which, the Supreme Court's conservative majority on Monday handed Alabama officials a major win in their effort to redraw the state's congressional map in favor of Republicans in light of the court's decision last month to weaken the Voting Rights Act. Destroy the Voting Rights Act. Monday's ruling could deliver an additional seat to the GOP in the midterm elections. In an unsigned opinion, here you go, the Rocket Docket, right back in Rocket Docket just today actually voted to keep mifepristone available. So sometimes it works the right way. But in an unsigned opinion, the justices vacated a lower court's finding that a 2023 redistricting map had diluted the political power of the state's black voters. The Monday order sent the case back to the lower court for consideration under the Supreme Court's ideologically split April decision on the Voting Rights Act. The majority did not explain their reasoning. So it was racist as fuck in 2023 with like the same court. Mm-hmm. It's the same people. They haven't added any people or changed anything. The same 9 in 2023 are like, nah, man, that's racist. Now they're like, yeah, that's fine. Okay. There's something that has to kind of be explained here in case people aren't really like wise to this. But when the courts ruled that it's okay to draw district lines for political reasons, but not race reasons, they did something that is, I think, on its face dishonest, which is pretend that race and political affiliation don't track in the South. Right. And anywhere else in this country for that matter. But the Republican Party, as it's currently constituted, and don't give me this shit about Lincoln's, the Emancipation Proclamation. The current Republican Party is on its face openly and proudly white supremacist. They are against non-white voters, specifically black voters and Latino voters, but they are against non-white voters having political power. They are against anybody who isn't white having any kind of authority in this country. So if you say that what we're doing is letting Republicans pick Republican districts, what you're not saying but are saying is we are disenfranchising black voters, Latino voters, non-white voters. That's it. Anybody who says otherwise, you can dismiss them out of hand. They're full of shit, and they fucking know it. Whether they're elected officials or not, they fucking know it. There's no way that they are honest when they say, oh no, we're doing this for partisan reasons, not racial reasons. They're the same fucking thing, guys. Okay? This country has one. I'm not saying that the Democrats are good for non-white voters. They have failed them at many turns. But they aren't explicitly white supremacist. The Republican Party is explicitly white supremacist. So they went back to court and they got Alabama. Now is the latest of the former Confederate states to get to redraw their districts. The ruling is the latest to help Republicans redraw congressional maps in the wake of the high court's landmark decision, which set new standards for considering race under Section 2 of the Voting Rights Act. And it is the apparent reversal from prior instances in which the court found Alabama's maps to be unlawful. The same court. They didn't get a new justice. Didn't change. Didn't go from being 5-4. It was that decision in 2023 containing the same people that they have overturned themselves on. And they did it because white people in Louisiana sued to say that they had been disenfranchised because they didn't get to vote in a majority white district anymore. Never mind, the black voters had never been able to vote in a district that represents them at all. Right. Because that's exactly the point. Okay. We've got some quotes here. Let's see. Sotomayor. The court today unceremoniously discards the district court's meticulous, documented, and supported discriminatory intent finding and careful remedial order. Geez, I can't read this court stuff. It's thick. Without any sound basis for doing so, and without regard for the confusion that will surely ensue. Also, the intent thing is kind of important. I think we've talked about that before, but earlier, the court had held many years ago that if a voting law change, redistricting, whatever, had the intent of had the outcome of disenfranchising black voters, even if the intent wasn't to do that, that was discriminatory and therefore not allowed. They removed that. They said, no, as long as the intent is, it's not expressly about limiting black voter access. If that's the outcome, that was a mistake or that was unintended consequence, we can't hold them accountable for that. That was step one. In the Alabama case in 2023, what they found was not only did Alabama have that outcome when they redrew the lines, but they found all of these conversations in which the Republican state representatives and state senators had explicitly discussed how can we remove these black districts. It was openly racist. Right. And they looked at that and they're like, yo, that's racist. And that's even like, that's too racist even for us. Mm-hmm. And it's Alabama. So they were like, whoa, Alabama. That's like, we know you're Alabama, but that's racist even for Alabama. And they're like, no, you got to put the districts back. You got to have 2 black districts. That's it. And Alabama was like, all right, you got me. And now that same court looked at it and goes, you know what? Just because you were explicitly racist in your reasoning, and just because you were explicitly trying to keep black voters from being able to elect voters of their choice, which is specifically what, or representatives of their choice, which is specifically what Section 2 of the Voting Rights Act prohibits doing, we'll just get rid of that Section 2 then. You can go ahead, carry on, go back to what you were doing, commence Confederacy all over again. It's not in here about Mississippi, but Lane Kiffin told everybody the truth, which is a shocking thing. But basically, he said that he had trouble recruiting at Ole Miss because, and he didn't say it explicitly this way, but basically what he said is black families didn't want to let their kids move to Oxford, Mississippi to go play football because they were afraid what could happen to them, which is a legitimately serious thing to be worried about.
And I believe one of the ESPN commentators mentioned the fact is like, why send your black kid to any of the southern state schools? What's the
that's where this is probably going to have to go. I mean, the argument there was that Baton Rouge is a black city, and so that those kids would feel better playing at LSU than they would in Oxford, which is a white town. But yeah, one of the levers that could be pulled here is for Black America to stop sending kids to go play college football in the SEC.
Yeah.
And if you're considering going to play football or basketball at a school that is in one of these states that have done this thing, a very legitimate way to make a point would be to go play for a school that's not in one of those states. And I don't know. That might really be where the seam is, like, can it be undone? Do you think people in Alabama, Georgia, Louisiana, Mississippi, Tennessee care more about having their college athletic programs being successful on the field or on the court than they do about disenfranchising black voters?
Yeah, especially Alabama.
If it came down to it, that the Crimson Tide and, let's just say, Auburn become uncompetitive because black families won't let their kids go play ball at those schools, do you think that makes voters change their position and redraw the lines?
Yes. If that is their kryptonite, to we need Bama to win. We need Bama back on top. We need Bama get some top tier players, and we need to get back into that national stage. They trust and believe if you get every known black kid who is eligible, who's top tier, blue chip, whatever. Then have them not accept any offers anywhere from the SEC schools. Trust and believe, and especially Bama, they will be crying, whining, and say, "No, we need to fix this."
All right, so now let's add to this, right? Let's say Kirby Smart is Kirby Smart. Let's say he's that smart. He goes to Atlanta and lobbies the State House to say we need to do everything we can to preserve black voting rights in the state of Georgia and make sure that they don't get disenfranchised, and make sure that those districts still exist, and make sure that black voters in Georgia feel happy and confident that they can go to the polls and get an outcome that they want. So now you got Georgia protecting black voting and Alabama not. And Alabama gets their ass handed to them every year.
Yeah.
In that game. And Kirby Smart sitting over here grinning with his stupid visor going, yeah, you fucking racist idiots. You want to win football games or not? Look, I don't want to be glib about this. I know we're talking about like real things about voting and like political power and stuff, but there is something to be said for the way that categories of people, I don't even mean it's like certain groups of people, there are a lot of people, I'll put myself in that category, for whom winning it at football, winning at college football in particular, will change the way you look at something.
Yeah. I mean, any sport. I mean, surprising enough, we're getting close to the World Cup.
Right.
Trust and believe, these are life-death situations. And mind you, if anyone remembers, I believe it was the 1991.
Are you talking about the Colombian guy who
got the Colombian guy,
the own goal? Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, it's life or death. And it in this scenario, you're trying to win it for especially someone like Alabama. Your lifeline has been your football program.
Right.
The Alabama Crimson Tide. That has been your prime and joy. And Paul Bear Bryant, keep in mind, remember, he recruited a lot of black people in.
Right.
So, and especially knowing full well how racist,
he recruited black players when Wallace was the governor.
Mm-hmm.
And he was like, I don't care that Wallace is gonna like lynch everybody. I want to win games.
Yeah.
Bear Bryant was like, I want to win. I don't care.
Yeah. So there's a reason why his name is still on that stadium. So I respect Paul Bear Bryant for that.
Yeah, I don't respect much else about him, but
right.
Yeah, I mean, I'm trying to put myself in a thought experiment. Like, let's say that Michigan were to do something that was catastrophic to black voters, and Ohio made a move to solidify and protect black voting, and all of a sudden we just couldn't recruit, like, and it was over. Like, where would I go with that? Or I'm sorry, it's got to be the other way around, right? Michigan does something terrible to black voters and starts winning all the time, and Ohio does something great for black voters and can't win. and I'm stuck in this, like, well, do I want Michigan to keep winning, or do I want like people to be able to vote? I don't know what I choose there. I mean, that's
well, you're again with that type of dilemma. It you have to understand it's a moral dilemma.
That is a literal moral dilemma.
Yeah, and I think for a lot of voters of Alabama, if the key thing here is like, if you had this to happen, where it's like there are no top tier black recruiters, black, college students coming to your school anymore because of the political climate down there. Trust and believe, I think a lot of Alabama voters will try to rectify that because they want to see Alabama win a national championship every year.
That's more important to them than disenfranchisement.
That is way more important. Even though their education is the bottom, their economy is in the bottom, whatever everything else. But as long as Alabama, the tide is rolling high,
yeah,
he literally will vote. They literally want to make sure that happens.
That's why Tommy Tuberville getting elected there is so crazy.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, how is he running for governor in Alabama? First of all, he lives in Florida, and second of all, like, all it would take is Nick Saban to cut one ad for his opponent. Mm-hmm. Be like, Tommy Tuberville's a fucking loser. Look at all the times I whooped his ass. And he's never gonna win. All right, you heard it here. We've figured out a way to solve this problem.
Yeah.
Of defeating the Confederacy through college football.
Pretty much.
It's a safer way to do it, I guess, right? Look, guys, if you're a top tier recruit and you don't want to play in a racist state like Alabama or Mississippi or Louisiana, you can come play in Michigan. We will
Maryland, we need help. Maryland needs to win the Big Ten, for God's sake.
Maryland can't win anything. What are you talking about? In basketball, maybe, sure. Okay, if you're a great basketball player and you live in Alabama, you can escape and you can come to Maryland and you can play here and be safe and have Lido pizza, and it'll be great. You'll be a happy camper. Why not? Right? Just don't go there. Don't go to Alabama, like, at all, for any reason, really. Virginia. Okay, let's talk about my Commonwealth here. Was the capital of the Confederacy. Okay, so Virginia had this election where we had a vote, and it cost like $64 million to run this election. And the people voted for new districts that would be partisanly gerrymandered, not racially gerrymandered, but partisan gerrymandered to give Democrats an edge and reduce the Republican seats of our 11 down to 1 and give 10 Democratic seats. And it wasn't like an easy thing, right? But the people voted and it won. And it won. I don't know how to describe this, but like Democrats are loath to do something like this. We basically have disarmed ourselves in this fight years ago by saying we wanted independent commissions and real fair voting and stuff. And Republicans are like, fuck fair voting. We're going to cheat. And we're like, no. We're playing by the rules. And they're like, well, we're still cheating over here. So you guys fuck off over that. We're going to cheat. And so the Democrats are like, oh shit, I guess we got to cheat a little bit too. So they came up with a way to cheat, which is to reconfigure the map. And they got it to pass through the referendum. Here's the thing about Virginia constitutional amendment rules. People probably don't know this, but Virginia's got a lot of weird stuff about politics. And one of the things is we got these off-year elections and we have off-year elections. But to pass a constitutional amendment, there's a high bar to clear. And what has to happen is the General Assembly has to vote it through. Then there has to be an election held, like for state reps or whatever. And like there has to be a new General Assembly, then has to be called in or sworn in or whatever. And then they have to vote on the same thing, which is meant to make sure that some particular General Assembly doesn't hijack the situation and change something drastically, right? So to create for this to happen, you have to have one group of elected representatives vote on it. Then there has to be an election. Then a second group of elected representatives in the same chambers have to vote for it. And then it can go to a referendum to the people. It's a pretty good system if you want to make sure that this is the thing that people really want it to be, right?
Right.
Okay, here's where it got tricky. Virginia did that, and then Republicans complained because they didn't like the outcome, and they went to the Supreme Court, which is made up now of Trump loyalists, and they got the Supreme Court to say, well, actually, that didn't happen that way, and Virginia can't enact this. And now there's an obvious question of, well, if that was the case, why the fuck didn't you say so before we spent all this money to run this goddamn election? And their answer is, well, nobody was harmed until the election was run. Here's where the details start to get real fuzzy. So stick with me. This is going to get a little hard to hold on to. So the state Supreme Court ruled 4-3 last Friday that the referendum was unconstitutional, finding that there was no required, quote, intervening election because early voting was already underway when lawmakers began the process. Because we don't all vote on one day, the argument was that at the time that the referendum passed the General Assembly a second time, that it was it was done during a time that early voting for the next, or I'm sorry, when it passed the first time, that it was done during a time that early voting was already underway for the next election. And so you can't say that a full election was held in between these two votes. That's the argument. So Jay Jones, who's our Attorney General, argued that the ruling is, quote, deeply mistaken on two critical issues of federal law. Both of Jones's arguments stem from U.S. Supreme Court cases involving Republican lawmakers in other states, according to Virginia Commonwealth University political science professor John Allenbaugh. That's a tough name, man. The first centers on the definition of election day. Democrats have argued that election day is only the first Tuesday after the first Monday in November, because that's the way the Constitution says that it is. Quote, it predicated its interpretation of the Virginia Constitution on the grave misreading of federal law, which expressly fixes a single day for the, quote, election of representatives and delegates to Congress. That's what the AG wrote in his filing. This professor says what constitutes election day is part of a current Supreme Court case involving how many days after election day mail-in ballots can be accepted in Mississippi. So there's a whole nother case going on in Mississippi about what counts as election day, whether things are postmarked or whatever. That might kind of clear this up. The Republican Party Mississippi has argued that all votes that are cast in an election must be received by election day, and that is the standard definition of election, said the professor. So Attorney General Jones is arguing that the Virginia Supreme Court has adopted a definition of election that could possibly change because of this case. If election is from the beginning of early voting to the end of voting altogether, then if the Supreme Court goes, no, it's just this one day, then the Virginia State Supreme Court has fucked up. That's argument number one. Argument number two is linked to the 2023 U.S. Supreme Court ruling on the North Carolina case. That ruling said that while state courts can review actions taken by state lawmakers regarding federal election oversight, they do not have free rein to go beyond, quote, the ordinary bounds of judicial review, which is what Jones argued that the state Supreme Court justices have done. In that case, there was a question of the election went one way and the state Supreme Court voted that it shouldn't have gone that way. And the Supreme Court of the United States, SCOTUS, was like, you can't be the one to judge this because it's a federal election. And so you don't really have a say in it. Their argument was, well, yeah, we have a say because the elections are run by the states. It's like, yeah, but you're talking about whether you don't have jurisdiction here. That's what they ruled. You got two good arguments, two solid arguments. We'll see. Now, I don't think a lot of them hold water. I don't think that this court has any problem saying that election day is only one day in the Mississippi case and then allowing election day to mean a whole span in the Virginia case. And somebody go, hey, man, that's inconsistent. And Brett Kavanaugh is going to be like, your mom's inconsistent. And then that's just going to be like the answer to it. Yeah. They don't fucking care. These guys are hypocrites at the highest. You catch them lying on their own shit. They don't care. You're like, yeah, what are you going to do about it? You, what are you going to do, nerd? You know? Amy Coney Barrett's like, yeah. I'm going to send one of my 18 children after you.
Pretty much.
Whatever. These guys are nerds, by the way. Don't let Brett Kavanaugh fool you into thinking he's like a bro. I'm going to be at the ball game tomorrow. I'm going to look for him. You know, he likes to go to the ball game. And our Orioles are going to go whoop the woeful Nats. And that is the real reason Tez begged off tonight, because he didn't want to have to sit here and take what we're about to tell him. But don't worry, he'll have to come back. and then the series will have been over by then, and we'll probably be able to rub it in his face. Well, now we're gonna fucking lose. I shouldn't have said anything, but gonna rub some Old Bay in his face and be like, stupid Nats, goddamn Expos. All right, now let's go back to Louisiana. Right, we're talking about the Confederacy. We're gonna go down to Baton Rouge, and Louisiana might move. What are they gonna do down there in Baton Rouge?
Yeah, they are moving a lot of heavy statues.
That's true. Yes. What kind of statues?
Surprising enough, they're Confederate statues. Mostly.
Oh, funny that.
Yeah.
State lawmakers are considering a proposed law that would transfer, quote, any historic statue or monument owned by the government and removed from public display on or after, here's a really specific date, August 1st, 2006, to the Office of State Parks. The Office of State Parks, run by the Lieutenant Governor, would be required to relocate the monument to a place that could be accessible to the public. According to the House Bill 1215, its new location could not be in the same parish where the monument originally stood. So basically, they can just swap out all the Confederate statues from one parish to another. Parish is Louisiana for county. So they're just going to like, imagine that the people of Fairfax were like, nah, man, we got to get rid of these statues. You take them down, bam, right? And then people in Prince William were like, yeah, we got to get rid of these statues. You take them down, bam. And then the state came by and was like, hey, we're going to take all these statues that y'all took down. We're going to swap them and put them back up in your other neighboring counties' parks. Fairfax would be like, what the fuck? We just got rid of this. It's a different statue, though. It all looks the same. I mean, all the Confederates look the same to me. I can't tell them apart.
A lot of chess. It's like moving big, huge chess pieces in different locations.
Heavy bronze. How many millions of dollars is this going to cost bankrupt Louisiana? The legislation.
What more can they? How much more they can afford this?
I don't know where they're going to get the money. The legislation, sponsored by State Rep Michael Baham, passed Louisiana House of Representatives on a 78-14 vote last week. 78-14. So there's 14 Democrats in the House? I don't know. Louisiana's State Senate must also approve the measure before it becomes law. Bill addresses monuments and statue removal more generally and doesn't reference Confederate monuments in particular, but Lieutenant Governor Billy Nungesser, that's a great name, Billy Nungesser, a Republican, shocking, said in an interview that it was designed to deal with Confederate monuments taken down in New Orleans in 2017. Just saying the thing out loud. 3 of the 4 Confederate monuments New Orleans removed that year still sit in city-owned storage, said Nungesser, and he helped write the bill. So, cool. They're taking away voting. They're putting up their statues. What's next? The football might be the only hope. I don't know. I don't know, man. We already fought this war, right? Why are we fighting it again? Fuck.
For whatever reason, the South feels like they never lost, and it's like, okay,
they feel entitled to win. They want a participation trophy is what they want.
Yeah, that's why they got these statues and moving.
That's right.
On.
Those are participation trophies. Yes. We want our participation trophies back up in the parks.
Yeah.
Sir, you lost. No. We came in second. Oh, man, that's funny. Goddamn millennials. Their participation trophies in the Civil War. Where else does that happen? Right? You don't see like Germany putting up statues of their generals that lost the World War.
Oh no, man, they've been trying to rectify that for years.
Yeah. I can guarantee you don't like find a statue of General Cornwallis somewhere in Britain, like celebrating the guy who lost to the Americans. Like who would do that? Why what are you putting up statues of people who lost? Losers. I don't know. Trump put up a gold statue of himself. He's a big fucking loser.
Yeah. Make him so happy.
Then all the evangelicals went and prayed at it. Did you see that?
No.
They prayed over the golden statue, and then they tweeted about it, and then they had like enough self-awareness to be like, just in case anybody says that this is us praying to a golden calf, it's not. Here's the difference. This one's not solid gold. It's hollow. And everyone's like, nah, man, that's still praying to an idol. You're definitely, I'm not saying that's wrong, right? If you want to pray to golden whatever, I don't fucking care. But don't tell me you love Jesus and pray to the golden chicken. It's not good. All right. Speaking of statues, you want to take a break?
Sure.
Yeah, I'm following the script. We're ahead of schedule. which goes to prove, obviously, Tez is the problem. Why does this show go 2.5 hours? Because of Tez. I'm just saying, we're on time. He's not here. So, all right, we don't have to take a break. We can go right into fake marketplace.
Sure, we can go. Yeah, go to fake marketplace.
All right, let's do fake marketplace. Now, Tez isn't here, but Tez does aspire to become the new Kai Ryssdal and host marketplace, right? And with David Brancaccio retiring or stepping into a less demanding role for Marketplace Morning Report, there's a chance he could take that job. So that may be where he is right now interviewing. We don't know, but he loves to talk about economic data. It's like, I don't know how to prove this, but I have this theory that like there's a reason why baseball people and like econ nerds are the same people. And I think it's because baseball is a sport that mostly exists to generate data and numbers. And then they have so much to crunch, you know? So that's, I don't know. You have a theory on that, but grocery prices. The thing that Trump said he invented, the groceries. You ever heard that word groceries? I just came up with the groceries. Grocery prices climbed at their fastest rate in nearly 4 years, putting increased pressure on American wallets at a time when many are already feeling pessimistic about the economy. Prices for groceries spiked in April, according to data released Tuesday by the BLS, while broader inflation reached its highest level in nearly 3 years as the effects of the war with Iran start to weigh on the U.S. economy. Now, we're singling out groceries because one of the things that we got in the numbers, right? We got a CPI number. That's the consumer price index. There's the headline CPI, and then there's the core CPI. The headline is the everything number, and then the core is when they take out food and energy because those prices move around so much. But in this case, they're also the big drivers of some of this inflation. They're not the only drivers, but they're some of the big drivers of the inflation. Relentlessly climbing energy costs coupled with the tariffs and ongoing agriculture and farming issues mean grocery bills are rising quickly and might continue for months. Costs spike, especially for a few key staples of American diets, including fresh produce and beef. And I can tell you that shit is true.
Yeah.
I have like several hundred children that I own, and I have to feed them. And or the judge will come after me again for whatever reason.
Okay, that's a story for another day.
Yeah, it's very expensive to feed the children. They want to eat every day, Brian, every day. I'm like, you just ate yesterday. What do you need food for? And they're like, no, we want more food. And then they're like, maybe we want to eat a second time. I'm like, what? It's getting costly, right?
Right.
That shit hits me in the wallet. It hurts. I don't like it. And so, yeah, tomato prices soared 15% in April, which is why I'm growing all my tomatoes.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see, up nearly 40% in the last year. It's nuts. And a lot of them tomatoes are imported during the winter, right? Our tomatoes come from like Mexico or greenhouses in Canada, if you can believe that. Mm. We also have rising prices for beef. I don't know if you're a steak person or even if you just want to make a burger, right? It used to be $4.99 a pound for ground beef. Now it's like $9.99 a pound. It's doubled.
Yeah.
Outrageous. Memorial Day is coming up. What do you do on Memorial Day?
Go vegan.
Celery barbecues. Even that's expensive now. They're going after your produce, Brian.
Oh, well.
You have to barbecue air. Oh, wait, we don't have any more of that either.
Oh, yeah.
That fucking guy, Elon, is dumping all the methane into the air in his Memphis factory, making electrons or whatever the hell he's doing down there. It's like crazy, man. We can't even have a barbecue. Even like something simple and nice like that. Like we just want to get together, grill a little bit, hang out, listen to some music, play a little cornhole. Nah, can't do that. Corn in the cornhole, totally too expensive. Not allowed to do that. You can't throw nothing on the grill because all that's too expensive. The air is toxic. Can't breathe that. What are we supposed to do? How are we supposed to celebrate our freedom and commemorate the dead soldiers?
250th anniversary of our freedom, and we can't celebrate anything.
Can't afford fireworks.
Nope.
God damn it. Well, I guess that's it, Britain. You won. It took 250 years, but you finally
played the long game very well.
Yeah, right. That's the long game. Well played, sir. All right, so let's talk about the CPI. The Labor Department's Consumer Price Index rose at 3.8% annual over the last year, ending in April, up 3.3% in March, which is much hotter than the 2.4% in February, which tells me that those 2.4% numbers in February were kind of an anomaly. Higher energy prices accounted for much of the month-to-month gain in prices in April. And then also we got to talk about housing. So the big drivers in this crazy economic numbers, housing's insanely expensive, and fuel, energy prices, whether it's electricity, electricity has gone up too, even if you're trying to avoid cost by having an EV, right? Which is now looking like a really sharp idea. It's still not as sharp an idea as it was because the data centers are chewing up all the electricity and therefore raising those prices as well. The White House, through spokesman, this is my favorite part of this whole article. The spokeswench for this group is named Kush Desai. Kush Desai. Yeah. Okay. Which I believe is a special strain you can only buy in certain counties.
Literally.
Acknowledged that the inflation increased, but said that the jump is temporary disruption from the Iran conflict. He pointed to declining drug and hospital prices, as well as wage gains in manufacturing and construction as evidence that Trump's broader economic agenda remains on track. Okay, idiot. If wages have to go up to keep up with the costs, that's literally inflation. That's not indication of economic prosperity. That's a necessity. And guess what? Those wages increase are going to come at the expense of. They're going to raise prices for their whatever product that those wage earners are making. I'm not the one who's out here calling inflation a problem all the time, right? We've talked about that on this show several times, that inflation in certain circumstances really represents economic growth. It's reasonable as long as it's within check and the wages outpace it. We are not in that situation right now. We are losing ground. The purchasing power of the dollar is decreasing. Your ability to afford your basic necessities in this economy is getting worse. And that means that all of the nice to haves are getting backburnered. You're not going to be able to do those things. And vacations are dwindling. Fuel prices are so high that people can't afford to fly anywhere, can't afford to drive anywhere. Those trips to grandma are not going to happen. It's an economic death spiral, and it is self-inflicted.
Right.
Self-inflicted. I don't know what to say about that. We got a new Fed chair today, too. Kevin Warsh. And even he's talking about, well, actually, instead of cutting interest rates to try to juice the economy, we think that maybe the inflation's a little too hot. We might actually have to raise interest rates to try to cool down the inflation. Now imagine.
Wait, what?
Yeah. So rekindled inflation, even if it proves to be driven largely by one-off shocks, also presents an early test for Kevin Warsh, Trump's pick to lead the Federal Reserve, who's expected to be confirmed Wednesday. Warsh he did replace Jerome Powell, whose term ends this month. Friday, though, Powell he said that he's staying on the board and he's going to stick around. But yes, Warsh has even hinted at that there may have to be an interest rate increase to cool down this inflation. Remember that the Fed really only has this one tool. They have two tools. They have regulation and they have like monetary policy. And what they can do is they can either lower interest rates, which sends more money out to the economy, which helps to grow jobs and helps companies borrow money to invest and build new factories or whatever. But that can also increase the money supply, which can then lead to inflation. And the other thing they can do is they can increase the rates, right, which decreases borrowing, which causes companies to not build those new factories and kind of constrict a little bit, and it takes money out of the economy, and that causes inflation to slow down because there isn't all this money floating around to break up into all these different values, and so then the prices have to stay flat. Sometimes the prices rise regardless of that. So there can be there's obviously more factors than just the interest rates. But yeah, even Trump's chosen guy, who Trump specifically chose because he wants him to go in there and cut interest rates down to zero to juice the economy so he can lie and tell everybody that he made a bunch of jobs. Mm-hmm. That guy, Kevin Warsh, is like, we actually might need a rate increase to slow this shit down. Mm-hmm. Inflation approaching 4% is a big fucking problem. That's right. Twice as fast as it should be. That's a big fucking problem. Mm-hmm. And if it's happening at a time when job growth is stagnant, if it's happening at a time when other indicators, GDP and other things, are not growing at the same rate as that inflation, that's stagflation. That's a real problem. Right. It's not transitory. It's not temporary. It's not just caused by the oil shock. It is fundamental problem in the economy shaking its way through all the different sectors. And we are there. That is a real thing. We are in a bad spot economically. So just hold on tight, man. Grow a garden for real.
Literally, yeah.
Yeah. Grow a garden, get frugal, learn to recycle, learn to reuse stuff. I don't know what to tell you, man. Live your cheapest life you can imagine. Ramen noodles, stretch it. I don't care. It's like, speaking of people getting screwed, let's talk about the farmers.
Literally.
Yeah. Okay. So we've talked about that on this show a lot of times, that Trump's administration has been the most aggressively hostile to the ag sector of anything I can remember in my entire life. And let's talk about what he's done so far this term, right? He drove away all the farm workers through his harsh immigration enforcement. So now farmers don't have enough employees or workers to help pick the vegetables or manage the dairy herds or manage the meat packing or any of that stuff. So when we say ag sector, I know people think about farming, but it's not just that, right? It's also dairy and meat, whether it's chickens or pork or whatever. All that's very labor intensive. So if you take away the labor, it gets really expensive to operate. You got to have people. It can't be automated completely. So first he drove out the labor. Okay. Then he whipped out these tariffs, right? And the tariffs cause a major disruption because farmers need markets in which they can sell their products. And all of the commodities, whether that's corn, soy, pork bellies, whatever, they're all bought on futures contracts. So you're not paying for the soybeans when you buy them now. You're buying soybeans at a negotiated price in the future, and the farmer's going to meet that contract. But if his costs change between that time when the futures contract is signed and when he actually sends them to you, he might have to eat that cost. And let's be very clear about this. Farmers are not price setters. They are price takers. The market sets the price, and the farmers have no choice but to accept it. In certain circumstances, they can get help to offset if the price of a commodity falls out the bottom and they just aren't going to be able to recoup their cost of planting and growing that. That's called crop insurance. That is federally subsidized and federally supported. Guess what Trump did?
Took that away.
Yeah, he took that away. So now there's the Farm Bureau is unstaffed. There's not enough people there, so they can't actually get out the crop insurance in time. So he's take away their workers. He fucked with their markets and decreased the value of what they could sell their stuff for through tariffs. And then he took away their crop insurance so that they can't even be made whole for, what they're getting fucked with by his first two things. And he destabilized their loan system right? Because farmers have to take out a loan every year to buy a bunch of seeds and stuff.
Right.
And then they hope to make enough money to cover that and pay that back. He destabilized that whole thing too. It increased the cost of these loans in cases where farmers can't even afford to do it. So they've got food rotting out there in the fields because they ain't got nobody to pick it. They got bad markets where they're having to take a loss on every bushel of corn that they grow. They've got no ability to get their crop insurance to make up for those losses. And now they can't even get a loan to try to replant and recoup their costs next year. That's just what he did before. Then he starts his fucking war in Iran. That has no business having this war. Guess what you get from the Gulf besides oil?
What else you get from here?
What do you think you can make out of all that nitrogen and stuff you pull out?
Fertilizer.
There you go.
There we go.
So fertilizer, and a huge amount of fertilizer is produced in the Gulf, shipped over here to the United States. It's planting season, like when the war started in the end of February, early March. Guess what you need? A lot of fertilizer.
A lot of fertilizer.
Now the fertilizer costs have like tripled. They can't get any of it. It's in such short supply. There isn't any, even if you had pre-bought it at a futures rate. So now their input, and what do you need to do to spread the fertilizer or the seeds or do anything else?
You need machinery.
You need machinery. What does a tractor run on?
You need fuel.
Fuel. Runs on diesel. So diesel costs are through the fucking roof. They've almost doubled. So now that poor farmer, his input costs are out of control. He can't get fertilizer. He can't afford fuel. His cost for all of his farm equipment has gone way up due to the tariffs. His ability to get any of it fixed might be drastically reduced.
Right.
If there needs to be any work done on it because maybe they don't have access to some of the parts and things that they need. So the inputs are fucked. The outputs have already been fucked. Their ability to actually harvest or plant or do any of the work has been fucked. The whole ag sector has been decimated by the Trump regime. And so much so that they're like, well, we need a bailout package for the farmers. Hey, idiot. Farmers don't want bailouts. They want stable markets where they can grow stuff and sell it. Then you don't have to bail them out. They already have a bailout. It's called rain, right? It rains and then the corn grows and then the farmer is happy. And that's all it takes. You don't have to do anything like that. You just have to just let it go. Let it go. But no, Trump was like, fuck these farmers. And then somebody reminded him, like, they all voted for him. And he was like, oh, good. That's why I hate him. He hates everybody. Everybody. If you voted for him. And so, like, he's on his way to China right now, right? Or he's over there in China. And I heard him interviewed a bunch of farmers. And they were like, well, what do you think is going to happen when he's over there? And they're like, we're hoping he makes a deal to get the Chinese to buy a bunch of our soybeans. Right. And I don't want to know what's going on in that photo, Brian.
He could be here again.
He's like, you smell so good. You smell like Kung Pao. Okay. Thanks for destabilizing my brain with that image. Yeah, so he's gone over to China and he's going to try to get this soybean deal, right? Well, when the tariffs went into effect, one of the things that happened was China decided to buy their soybeans from other places.
Right.
One of them is Brazil. And, you know, when you make a decision to do something like that, it's not like deciding to go from McDonald's to Wendy's and they're in the same shopping center. You have to reconfigure your whole system for buying and transporting all of this stuff. Mm-hmm. And so the Chinese made a concerted decision and did that. And they're not going to undo it. Mm-hmm. So once they've turned away from us and turned towards Brazil, they're not going to turn back again unless something really adverse happens in Brazil, which is not the case. So Trump is going over there with this hope that the Chinese will fulfill last year's commitment to buy 25 million metric tons of soybeans a year till 2028. Guess
Well,
how many? Guess how many metric tons they bought last year?
No, it's 25.
It was more than that.
Oh, it was more than
tariffs.
25.
I'm sorry, not last year, but the years before the tariffs.
Oh, before the tariffs.
Yeah.
At least 200.
No, it was 30 million.
Oh, 30.
And the years before that, it was 36 million. So it's actually going worse. He's out here trying to negotiate a deal for worse than he had when there were no tariffs. You understand that? He's going over there and saying, please, please, please give me this deal that's worse than the deal that he had when he did nothing. If he'd have done nothing. When I tell you he's hostile to farmers, that's what I'm talking about. And the farmers are like, we're just hoping he makes that deal. We just need that so bad. Buddy, he's making a deal that's worse than the deal that you had. And you fucking voted for this.
Yep.
And in general, I'm like, good. Have the day you voted for. You know, if this fucks your life, that's cool. But the problem is if it fucks the farm sector of the economy, if it fucks the ag sector of the economy, it doesn't just fuck those guys that voted for him. It also fucks all of us because that's where all of our food comes from.
Right.
Wrecks everything. So now I got to have the day that those idiots voted for. Fucking assholes. All right. You want to take a break so you can play your cool little video?
Sure.
All right, we're going to take a break. When we come back, we're going to talk about weird people in government. We'll be right back. Yeah, speaking of, here's a weird person in government. We're going to take a break and show you that you're listening to Chip Chat on Beltway Radio and beyond.
Bonjour.
Then go to our dumping sites, destroy our environment, open air burning, air pollution, and our beaches are dirty. So then...
Already? You're not waiting your turn.
I will make order. Excuse me, everybody. Hey. I'm sorry, guys. But it's impossible to speak about culture, to have people like that super inspired coming here, making a speech with such a noise. So this is a total lack of respect. So I suggest, if you want to have bilaterals or speak about somebody else, something else, you have bilateral rooms or you go outside. If you want to stay here, we listen to the people. And we play in the same game, okay? Thank you.
And this, ladies and gentlemen, is called...
All right, welcome back to Chip Chat here on Beltway Radio and beyond. I'm your host, Chip. With me tonight is Brian, filling in for Tez.
Hello, bonjour.
Bonjour. So, yeah, okay. Shout out to Manny Macron over there, you know? He's over there. He's like dual hosting the Africa Summit or whatever it is it's called that they're doing. It's in Kenya, I think.
Yeah.
And that people were talking, right?
Mm.
And
they were talking all right.
Oh yeah, they were chattering away, not paying attention to the speaker. I really like the image of it though, of like him standing up and looking around confused. It sort of looks like Inspector Clouseau in the Pink Panther sort of thing of like, I don't know what it is about French people and bewilderment, but they do it really well. Mm-hmm. And he's like, what is he? No. Yes. We must have respect.
Which I give credit for the fact that he, mind you, if you look at it, you can look at it in two ways. One, especially if you initially see it, it looks like him interrupting an event that is not hosted by him.
Well, he is one of the co-chairs.
He's co-chair, like, but
he is hosting the event. But it does look like he's interrupting the people who are doing the speaking.
Right. So it kind of makes it look like that. And it's like, what the hell's going on? But then as you further look into the video and understand the fact it's like, look, there's a lot of outside chatter who's people talking amongst themselves and really not listening to what's properly being said here as like a proper Frenchman. It's like, hey, settle down. Listen to what they're saying. They're saying some valid things that we need to focus on. And I think that's the key. The key thing here is the fact that sadly, I doubt there was any Americans that were there. If there were, they were probably the ones who were chatting.
Oh yeah.
And because a lot more what's the word I'm looking for? It pretty much a lot more businesses ventures are being done with a lot of the African nations because
Sure.
and not in the sense of where they're taking it, stockpiling and all that stuff like our president is trying to do. Pretty much these are proper negotiations, discussions, and good relationships that are trying to be built there. I've always thought the fact, since I lived there many moons ago, that there were possible good ventures that could be made in Africa. And then most notably at the time where I was, it was Southern Africa, because again, South Africa was getting out of, apartheid at the time before Mugabe lost his crazy mind. Zimbabwe was thriving and was going to be pretty much the second gemstone of this nuance of African nations that were going to spotlight for the rest of the world. Unfortunately, again, you get these crazy, like I said, Mugabe go nuts, and a lot of people who feels like, okay, we're fighting old wars in their heads, so they kind of shoot themselves in the foot. And a lot of sort of negotiations, again, you have to deal with white folks. And these are new age white politician that you're dealing with. They're not going to here to try to take over whatever you had. We're trying to rebuild what you lost and have a decent working relationships in the future, where again we're both connecting and we're both working for each other. That is the problem here with us, with that orange peel, and then going to anywhere around the world claiming he's going to speak for us, and he's not. And I think it's like the prior segment we had about with China, that is a perfect example where we're going to fail, because as you see here, this is fact is like he's always did badmouth China every chance he got, because if it's China's going to do this and China's going to do that, and it's like, yeah, China's doing things, because the fact is like, because they're not being dicks, even though.
Well, wait a minute, they're still being dicks.
Huh?
The Chinese are still being dicks. Like
they're being dicks, but not like small dicks like Trump is, meaning shortchanging a lot of people.
They're not doing petty stuff. They're just doing like regular genocide.
Well, yeah, that too. But in a sense, there's like people understands the fact is like Xi Jinping is he's he knows what he could try to help make China benefit for him in the long run. So, but I think here in aspect is people understand what I think everyone knows the devil they're dealing with. Mind you, it's
the Chinese are willing to make this deal because they think it'll get them out of poverty, essentially.
Right.
But
so
he's being terrible. But yes, all right. The point still stands that Africa as a continent has this incredible opportunity because it's so young. The average age on the continent is so much lower than it is in other places,
right.
And there's so much available youth and productive enthusiasm that's there, and it's a fool who overlooks it, and it's an even bigger fool who seeks to exploit it. It's not something to be exploited. It is something
that was already done a long time ago.
Yeah, they've already been doing that. It's now's the time, if you're smart, to invest in and get with the rising tide that is going to lift all of those boats. And that's what Macron and this conference are all about. And he couldn't tolerate. I like that his argument about this was about culture. That's a very French way of doing this. Like, we're here to speak about the culture, and then and you guys are being disrespectful. it's almost like they came in and they weren't like admiring a Rodin statue enough, you know. It's a
Right.
very sort of like French way of looking at it. He wasn't like, you guys are being disrespectful at a lecture where everybody's trying to get smarter. He was like, you're disrespecting culture. All right, guy. Calm down. We're all here talking about making money. Speaking of weirdos in government, like Manny Macron, over across the channel from France, there's a place called Great Britain. And one of the things we love to do on this show is laugh at their silly parliamentary nonsense. And one of the things about their silly parliamentary nonsense is it seems like the prime minister is always about to be fired.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like, and it doesn't usually happen. Now, we did have the Liz Truss lettuce deal. That was pretty funny. We had the Bojo and Theresa May and all that stuff. But Sir Keir Starmer is currently the Prime Minister of Britain. He's the leader of the Labour Party. There he is, looking very British in this photo. Looks somewhere between a Bond villain and maybe one of his buddies that works at MI6. And Keir Starmer he's in charge of the Labour Party. Labour Party in America would translate roughly to the Democrats. It's sort of a center-left major party. There's two major parties in Britain. There's the Conservatives or the Tories, and then there's the Labour, which is the center-left, and then Tories are center-right. And then there's like all these fringy guys, right? Because it's a parliamentary system, the fringy guys can do stuff. And the fringy guys on the right are these Eurosceptic, racist, nutball, Brexit, Nigel Farage guys. And then the fringy guys on the left are like the ultra progressives, the Greens, the sort of, you know, like capitalism sucks kind of guys. And they just had local elections in Britain. Okay, so you can think of them like state elections that we have. These are for like mayors or for, you know, county seats and stuff like that. And Starmer's Labour Party, they did very poorly in these elections. In some cases, they lost to people further to their left. And in other cases, they got whooped by these right-wing extremist guys. And so then the answer, everybody in Labour is like, well, then it must be Starmer's fault. He's got to go. And so they start chattering about this. Now they've got rules about this. If 20% of the MPs vote for a change or like intra-party vote, then they can topple the PM and they can vote for a new leader and put that person in. They haven't done that yet. The cabinet we're on like let us watch day 4 or 5 to see how many of the cabinet members in Starmer's cabinet defect and decide to either vote no confidence or vote for leadership change. We don't know where that's going to happen. There's this guy called Wes Streeting who was maybe going to launch a challenge to Keir Starmer. He's the health secretary, but then he didn't do it. And he couldn't get enough people to go along with him. There's this dude who's the mayor of Greater Manchester, if you can believe that that's the way they do this. So I guess he has to root for City and United. And he is not an MP, but there's this like chance that they'll like rig up a special election so he can run for MP, get into Parliament, and then launch a challenge at Starmer. It's all kind of nuts. Okay. And it's a thing that Americans we don't have a parliament, so it doesn't really work that way, but it's fun to watch from the outside. It could be a big problem though, right? Because Starmer's got this odd position of having to run Britain in a time of Trump. And he's done a fairly decent job of like keeping Trump from starting Revolutionary War number 3 and like taking over Britain. We had Greenland. Now we need to get the other islands. And he didn't, he's managed to like kind of placate him a little bit. He got a trade deal worked out with the Americans so that the British didn't get completely tariffed out of existence. He's kind of managing that while at the same time trying to right the ship and un-Brexit Britain from Europe, which has been a big challenge because the Brits are all looking around going, oh, we really fucked up with this Brexit thing. So he's in a bad, I mean, of course he's going to do badly in elections. He's got to do a hard thing and people don't like the outcomes. They voted for it, but they don't like the outcomes. They need these outcomes. They just don't like to take their medicine. I don't know what they thought they were going to get for free, but you're not going to get shit for free. So hang in there, Sir Keir. I'm sure you'll be okay. You've outlived the lettuce, so that's the bar that you have to clear in Westminster. Speaking of wacky parliamentary systems over in Israel, right? The cousins are up to some stuff. They've got a parliament too. They call it the Knesset. Their parliament, their prime minister, Bibi Netanyahu, is a big war criminal. His existence as PM rides on this coalition government. He does not have, his party does not have a majority in parliament to stay in charge. And so he has to get friends, essentially, other parties to also support him in leadership. And these include a bunch of ultra-Orthodox, far-right, crazy guys who are, some of which outright racist, anti-Palestinian, genocidal maniacs, settler types. And then there's several of these ultra-Orthodox parties. One of them is pulling out of government. They are pulling their ministers out of government and voting to join the loyal opposition. And so now Netanyahu's coalition is hanging by a thread. The ultra-Orthodox guys are pissed off because they now have to go serve in the army. In Israel, everybody has to go serve in the army. And but the ultra-Orthodox had this exemption because it's just as valuable to the war effort for them to be studying as it is for tanks. No, I don't care how hard you study, not as good as a tank. So, but as the war in Gaza dragged on, as Israel was needing more and more troops, and as the public was kind of like, hey, how come these guys get to fan the flames of war, but they don't actually go and fight? And the Supreme Court eventually ruled the exemption doesn't work. They got to go fight. And Netanyahu was like, yeah, you guys got to go fight. So they're pissed off about that. They're not pissed off about the genocide. They like the genocide, but they're pissed off that they have to now go help do the genocide. And so they pulled out. Now, all it's going to take at this point is like a handful of other MPs to defect, and it could cause a snap election. There are elections scheduled for September already, so it might not really move the calendar up by that much. But considering Netanyahu's whole reason for running these wars and doing all of these things is so that he can stay as prime minister, and the reason he wants to stay as prime minister is because he is guilty as sin of a lot of corruption, and they want the courts will throw him under the jail the second he's not prime minister. And while he's prime minister, he's immune from prosecution. But the second he's not, he's going to go to jail. So this could have a really big impact. Stay tuned for that. Let us watch. I don't know if they have lettuce in Israel, but you know. Oranges. They got oranges. Breaking news.
Breaking news. Mind you, it's been a few hours, but you know, we've been doing the hard work here on ChipChat. So the NFL schedule came out.
Oh, I had heard there were some guesses as to where things
who goes where and what, why, and all that stuff. So apparently, I'm looking at first in
London. Right?
Yeah, there's a lot of
London games.
Yeah, the Commanders will be commanding their stomping grounds in London against the team that the Ravens are going to start the season with.
Oh,
we're going to Indianapolis for our first game of the year.
Cool. Division game in the to start. Oh no, they're not your division anymore.
No.
No, they were the Baltimore team. That's right.
Yeah, the team they're facing a team that they left the city they left from. So a
lot of bad blood there.
Oh, yeah, there's some bad history. That a lot of people.
All right, so that's your opening game. Who's our opening game?
Let me find that because again a lot of speculations of
Well, we knew the division matchups, so we
right,
knew like
which is normal. So
yeah, you can count that. It works on a cycle.
yes.
You already know.
So the Commanders, again, they will be on the road
Ah,
and take a wild guess where they're going.
better not be Dallas.
Oh no, that'll be next week.
Okay. San Francisco.
No, that'll be week 6. And it's a Monday nighter.
Oh, are we playing the NFC West as our division this year?
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm gonna cheat and look. Oh, we're going to Philly.
Philly, good old Philly.
Fuck that. I hate those guys.
So, and the thing is it's like if you
Yeah, we're playing NFC West as our conference division because we got Seattle and San Fran and LA. Yeah, okay. And then we're playing AFC South as our we've got Jags and Colts and Tennessee. Yeah, we're playing AFC South as our cross conference division. Shit.
Yep.
I mean, that's a good division to kick some ass in for a little while. I guess we can. Tennessee sucks. Jacksonville pretty good. Indy could be sucks. I don't know.
Well, your first 3 weeks is against divisional opponents, so it's kind of
first 2 weeks.
First 2 weeks.
Yeah, then we go to Seattle, or no, then we have Seattle comes here, and then we got the Giants in week 5. So we play our entire division all before the bye,
right?
Which means so do they. So I think that's actually better because, like the last several years, we've done all the division games in the second half of the season, and that was like really compressed and rushed. I didn't like that.
Right.
But then right after the bye, then we got the Eagles, Giants, right in like almost back to back. LA's in between them, and of course Dallas is the last game. But
well, for the Ravens, we have our Steelers sandwich. late in the year. Yeah, so we have after the bye week. So our final 5 games are hosting the Buccaneers, then go to Pittsburgh. That's the top bread.
Right.
Then we get the Ohio meat, meaning we get the Browns after Christmas, and then on New Year's Day we get the Bengals, and then the bottom bun is the Steelers whenever they decide to have a date for that.
So you have to play the entire division in a 4-week period.
Yeah,
that's rough.
Yeah, depending on where we at.
How is the NFL scheduling an entire division series for an entire division in a 4-week? That's not good. I mean,
I mean, I know they're trying to make these spectacular games and whatever throughout the year, but really, it's like I would rather face the Steelers. At least the Steelers early.
Spread it out.
Yes.
But also, like, if you're in a tight playoff contention for the division, then having all these division games back to back to back really does get exciting. So that's fair. But let's not pretend that the AFC North is going to be in a like crazy division playoff.
Right.
race,
And the thing is, this is the second year in a row where the Ravens and Steelers face each other for the end of the season.
Isn't that how it's supposed to be though? Because we play Dallas.
I mean, again, that I understand for television purposes, but at the same time, it's kind of like getting annoying. It's like
you
we
can
rotate this properly.
You need Aaron and the Stillers to be amazing. You're gonna draft Aaron on your fantasy team, aren't you?
No, hell no. I don't know if he'll want to play because I don't have a lot.
He hasn't showed up to OTAs or anything, so who knows what cave and what godforsaken country he's hiding in right now with his not wife. How do we have all these pictures of like Vrabel and Rossini together, and nobody's got a picture of Aaron's wife?
Oh, he
How How's that possible?
I don't know. Again, the
She's not
social media
real.
journalists are not doing their job properly.
She's not real. She's Lene. It's Manti Teo all over again.
Mhm.
All right, back to the show.
Yes.
Okay, speaking of weird, we did some weird foreign people, right? So now we're going to talk about some weird Americans. You know who Dr. Oz is? He used to be like
Unfortunately.
Oprah's best friend.
Yeah, was.
Was. Now
She had her two closest best friends are the most nuttest job guys you could ever find.
Dr. Phil and Dr. Oz.
Dr. Oz. Yes.
Dr. Phil. Yeah, he's like a big Fox News guy too.
Yep.
All right, so Dr. Oz is now in charge of the Centers for Medicaid and Medicare Services. So that's basically the federal agency that administers these programs. He's in government. He's in charge of things.
Mm.
There was an event where Trump fell asleep. And Dr. Oz said this incredible statement. Roughly 30% of Americans are underbabied. That means that you either don't have any children or you have less children than you would normally want to have. What is underbabied? I don't understand. Like, okay, we're using the way that we talk about underfunded, right? Underfunded, under-resourced, whatever. Underbabied? It's the weirdest possible way to say
that. That is so Trumpesian speak I've ever heard.
We're underbabied.
Underbabied.
All right, what is he getting at? The birth rate in America is
low.
It's low. It's maybe negative. I think at this point, that's been the case for a while. If you look at native-born Americans, if you look at the other big developed countries, whether it's Europe, whether it's Japan is upside down and has been for 20 years. Right. China, because of their one-child policy, now is upside down. They're in huge trouble. There is a fair argument to be made that we aren't having enough kids to replace people who are retiring and dying, and that the economy, as it's currently constructed, will run out of workers if we don't change that path. But we had a solution to this, that because we've been underbabied for the last like 50 years. And the way we've managed to get by is immigration. And that's great. We don't have to have all the babies. We have to have people who are already potty trained come and move here and get jobs.
Right.
We don't need to grow them here. They're just as good at doing what. I don't care whether the architect that I hired was born in like Nicaragua or in Oklahoma. It doesn't make any difference whether he can draw a house.
So they can do the work, do the job, as long as they don't steal and rape me, it's everything's good. So.
Yeah, well, Americans are plenty good at that on their own. They don't need to import those folks. So like we're underbabied, but we were fine being underbabied. That's called developed countries. That's how it works. You get to where it's just part of their war on women, right? Like,
right. I mean, the key thing here, besides the financial structure of this, is like you just about to say, it is about the war on women. It's like a lot of women nowadays, they're single, they're working, they're fine without a man and all that stuff, and
or
pretty
they've
much
got
like
kids but if you're a family that has 2 kids, you're underbabied because you need to have 2.1 kids to make up for you 2 going to die. Right. Otherwise you're just simply replacing, right? So you're not gaining any ground.
You're right. But again, no one's doing the baby boomer or even the forgotten generation type of of lovemaking here. It's not happening. And when you have a lot of millennials, even Gen Xers at the point in time, but a lot of millennials and the Gen Zers, they're not having sex like that anymore. And
they're not having babies because it's expensive and impossible.
Yeah, it's expensive, it's costly, it's draining. They've seen, and the thing is, most of the, again, if you think about some of the millennials, they were products of the Gen Xers who were seeing their parents struggling, being probably a single parent and stuff like that. So they don't want to go through all that stress.
I understand it, man. Kids are expensive. If Dr. Oz is worried about how underbabied we are, make childcare affordable.
Right.
I mean, there you go. People would have babies if they knew that they could safely park them someplace while they go to work. But people have to work 3 jobs just to get by in this fucking economy. So you know why they're underbabied? Because they're fucking tired.
Yeah.
They don't have time to go find
they have no
partner.
desire to be having kids and all that stuff. It's a stressful thing.
Do you know how exhausting children are?
Tell us, Chip, because I don't.
You're underbabied, Brian.
Yes, I'm way underbabied.
Yeah, you're unbabied. It must be nice to be unbabied at times. I mean, they exhaust me. They are too much. And like, this show is underbabied, right? Tez has 1 and I've got 3. So combined, we're still, and you've got none. So we're not replacing ourselves.
No.
We have lost ground here. So way to go, Brian. You're the one that's failed us. No, I mean, Tez needs to hurry up and have 2 more kids just to get us to even.
Hey, with all his traveling and stuff like that,
how could he possibly afford that, though?
Yes.
Think about what it would cost in childcare and all this other stuff. That's what I'm talking about. Dr. Oz is a fucking dummy, and he's under brain celled.
Underbrained.
Underbrained. Speaking of underbrained, let's talk about the last story tonight. The gold Trump phone.
Oh, God.
If you were stupid enough to put down a deposit on this, guess what? I'd love to sell you. Here you go. I got your Trump phone right here. You want to buy one of these? This is a genuine Trump phone. It is as good at making phone calls and anything else as the Donald Trump version of this Trump phone. You see how good it is? Look at its screen. It's amazing. It's a Trump phone. There never was a Trump phone, you fucking dummies. You paid all this money. You didn't get shit for it. 600,000 people put down their $100 deposit on the Trump phone. Now, if you go on the Trump phone website, they're like, they changed it from saying it was going to be made in America to designed with American values in mind. And now if you go and look at the fine print, it says there may not actually be a phone. It's just the idea of a phone.
Oh, Jesus.
So you're never getting your phone.
Again, you got con again.
You got grifted again. Again. Don't worry, though. Don't worry. The Trump phone case is coming out next month, and that's only $150. You can buy them by going to our GoFundMe, which I'm going to post next week when we're not on. And I'm going to use our week off to make a GoFundMe, and we're going to sell ChipChat phones. They're going to be rebranded Trump phones. But you can buy them and wave them in front of the faces of all of the Trumpistas that bought the Trump phones. We need like a thank you tchotchke, to send to people. I don't know what that would be. Maybe like some headphones so that you don't have to listen to this show.
Except for the headlines.
Yeah, right. Listen to the headlines.
Yeah.
The ones with Brian on them. Okay. Now we've come to the end of the show. Hooray.
Yay.
It's on time. Look at that. Thanks to our radio partners, the OKC Thunder, the Minnesota T-Wolves, and all the teams that lost to them. Thanks to NOTN for keeping us on for another week. We assume, don't know. They have been doing a lot of Facebook posting, so they're up to something. Thanks to our home on the interwebs, coplaymedia.com. And thanks, as always, to our family here at Beltway and Rip Radio for making us sound as smooth as Stevie Wonder on his birthday yesterday while he's out there looking for his cake. All right, where can everybody get you on the socials, Brian?
You can check out my show, No Filter Sports, with no _filter _sports _2.5. We just recently had an episode today talking about the NBA playoffs, pretty much the first round, and of course, but did a nice little recap of the NFL draft. So you can check that out right now on YouTube and SoundCloud. So that's where you can find me.
There you go. And of course, you can find that on the Beltway Radio YouTube page. So
and that too, yes.
Yeah, and check it out. All right, and you can find me and the show on the Twitter at ChipChatRR. You can find us on Facebook or Instagram at RipChipChat. And you can, of course, find me on the Blue Sky fighting with Tez about soccer and baseball at
final weeks of premiere. So.
Yeah, we've only got a couple weeks. We're gonna finish right in the middle and achieve nothing. Perfect.
And the Spurs, I don't know.
Drama. Yeah, Spurs. It's coming down to the wire. Yeah. It ain't me this time. Hooray! Join us in 2 weeks when we'll have a recap from the Prem, and we'll see where that's all at. Anyway, I'm Chip. That's Brian. Tez is on assignment. You've been listening to Chip Chat on Beltway Radio and beyond.
Awesome.
Street balls.
Another chapter in history, another verse. Trump promises political violence, but no hearse. FTG and Shapiro try to rap, but don't rehearse. These right-wing nuts can't get any better, just worse. Tez and Chip out here trying to save the republic like Tez on the golf course. It ain't private, just public. When we have a drink in the bar, it's not beer, it's a public. It's hard to get something to rhyme with this subject. If we get famous, we can give a shout out to Brian. To get us out on time is what he be trying. The show is like a custom feathered avian that knows words. How can we stay late when our guest is Illy Bird? In conclusion, the message is to go out and serve folks, whether that's through art, music, or if you just tell jokes. Seek to medicate your ears, hope you eradicate your fears. Thanks for sticking with us through all these years.